To the other disaster now, millions of Burmese cyclone victims are facing a new threat tonight. 4 days of heavy monsoonal rain and a possible second cyclone have been forecast. That's adding to the urgency of the diplomatic effort to persuade the junta to open its borders to aid. Burmese opposition groups are calling on the United Nations to go in without permission.
Almost a fortnight after Cyclone Nagas tore through Burma, the UN says 2.5 million people are still in desperate need of help. International aid is still only trickling in.
The most pressing need is shelter. Once people are in some sort of safe shelter where they can be based, where they can be counted, where they can be served, where they can receive health services, that is the most important thing.
The death toll is rising by the hour. Burmese opposition groups demonstrating outside the UN in New York accuse the military regime of playing with the lives of cyclone victims by claiming it's in control and restricting aid.
We have been trying to prove to the world how brutal this military regime could be, and now, as you can realize, after hundreds of thousands of people dying, they still don't care enough to allow the international humanitarian aid to get in to save our people.
We especially like to ask, international leaders to not to wait approval from the regime, to take immediate action to stop killings. When they delay can cost hundreds of lives in Burma today. So time is in critical condition. We are facing many critical moments in history.
The US Navy is standing off the Burmese coast with supplies. The US Air Force has started transporting water, mosquito nets, plastic sheeting and blankets from an airbase in Thailand to Rangoon. But only 13 flights have been allowed so far. A US Navy admiral accompanied the first flight to ask permission to do more.
There was a general air of things aren't all that bad.
Admiral Keating says the regime fears a foreign invasion.
We have no intention of, quote, invading their country or penetrating their airspace, doing any of that, landing any ships or any Marines without the explicit approval of the government of Burma.
And while the UN pleads with the junta to open Burma's borders, heavy rain is again falling. And there are warnings that another significant cyclone is forming and that the Irrawaddy Delta is again in its path. Ross Cameron, World News Australia.